Let's talk about acting income. First, we'll talk about how actors make money, and then I'll share some of my annual income numbers throughout my career, as well as the highest paying single job I've ever had. I think you'll be surprised where I've made the most money acting. What's up, my fellow actors? Welcome to the Acting Career Center. My name is Kurt Yu. Thank you for spending some time here with me today. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe to this channel to get more tips on acting, auditioning, and career advice. Now, before we get started, I want to say a huge thank you to our SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee. As I make this video today, it's one day after the end of the SAG-AFTRA strike of 2023. It's so fitting that today's video is on the topic of acting income. The negotiating committee worked tirelessly to fight for a fair contract for all of us. The deal that they have secured will impact my income and yours for the rest of our careers. So thank you, President Fran Drescher and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland, for leading this charge. And a special thank you to Eric Goins and Mike Panuski for being our negotiating representatives from Atlanta. We owe you a massive debt of gratitude. Okay, today we are talking about making money as an actor. Now, in order to make money, you have to get a job. And in order to get a job, you have to audition, right? If you want to make sure your auditions are the best they can be, go ahead and download my free audition cheat sheet from that link right up there. It's my own 10-step audition preparation guide that I have used to help me book over 50 film and television jobs. Okay, let's dive into acting income. Oftentimes, when people talk about how much money actors make, it usually goes one of two ways. They either say that actors are super rich and have tons of money, or they say actors are super poor and are broke, starving artists. Both statements are more or less talking about the extremes. Obviously, A-list celebrity actors make millions from their acting jobs, but there are also actors who are just starting out, trying to break into the industry, who are sometimes acting for free to get experience. So, earning millions, earning zero. There's a huge gap in between, right? So then the question that typically comes up is, how much money does the average actor make? Not the celebrity and not the beginner, but the average actor. Well, honestly, that's a very difficult question to answer because, one, the average actor is very hard to define, and the annual income of any actor, regardless of how average they are, is extremely volatile and unpredictable from year to year. Actors don't make salaries. We don't have perfect little annual income numbers because our jobs aren't full-time jobs. Our jobs are gigs, and the number of gigs we get from year to year fluctuates, and because of that, our income also fluctuates. Plus, some gigs pay way more than others. And I know what you're going to say, why not just take the gigs that pay the most? Well, sometimes we don't know how much a gig is going to pay until years after we do it. That might not make sense now, but more on that later. Look, I know what you want to hear is a number, right? How much money do actors make? Now, I could arbitrarily throw out some numbers, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. And to be honest, all of those could be real annual income numbers for someone considered to be the average actor. Because like I said, it's extremely unpredictable. So if I can't give you an exact number, here's what I can do. I'm gonna break down some of the key factors that influence an actor's income. What are those things that help an actor earn more, right? Then we'll talk about the 5 most common income streams for working actors. And you might be surprised where actors actually make a lot of their money. And then finally, I will share some examples and numbers from my own career to prove that I'm not just making all of this up. Okay, let's talk about some key factors that influence an actor's income. Marketability. Established actors with name recognition and a successful track record typically command higher wages than newcomers or lesser known actors. At the end of the day, it's all about profits. If your name and image helps a company make money, well, they're going to be willing to pay you more. There's a reason why The Rock is the highest paid actor in the world right now. It's because his name and his image sells tickets. Sure, other actors have won Oscars or Emmys or other awards, but they aren't paid as much as The Rock because his marketability is so much higher. Production budget. Just like how you might have a grocery budget or a travel budget, productions also have budgets, and a portion of that budget is allocated towards actor compensation. The bigger the budget, the more potential money that they have to pay actors. Now, depending on the type of production, the budget can vary quite a bit. A major studio film will likely have a much bigger budget than a corporate training video. Some projects will have no budget at all, like student films, and actors working on those types of projects typically don't make any money, but they do it to gain experience. Union status. You may have heard the terms union and non-union before. Non-union productions can more or less make their own rules and pay actors whatever they feel like. When a production is union, it must follow union rules, and these rules include minimum pay rates to ensure performers are compensated fairly for their work. In the United States, most major film and television productions operate under a SAG-AFTRA contract. Now, in addition to minimum pay rates, SAG-AFTRA productions also have residual payments. A residual payment is compensation paid to the performer for the continued use of their work after the initial release. It's a form of revenue sharing to pay actors a percentage if the project they worked on continues to make money. Now, more on residuals later. Representation. Most professional working actors have some sort of representation in the form of an agent or a manager, or both. Now, having a talent agent doesn't guarantee that an actor will make more money, but having an agent does open up the doors to most of the higher paying opportunities. Major productions don't tend to post their auditions on public casting websites. Instead, they'll send those auditions directly to a talent agent who in turn sends them to their clients. A good agent can also help actors negotiate higher pay rates for their work. Location. While filmmaking is a global art form, there are certainly some locations known for having more major productions than others. In the United States, Los Angeles, New York, and Atlanta are the three biggest markets for film and television production. That doesn't mean that actors living in smaller markets can't make money. What it does mean is that the most common acting jobs in smaller markets tend to be non-union and tend to have lower budgets than productions in the major filming hubs. So now that we've listed some of the key factors that influence an actor's income, you can probably see how hard it is to define the average actor. Right? I mean, is there such a thing as an actor with average marketability, who has average representation, who lives in an average location, who works on average productions with an average budget and an average union contract? Even if that perfectly average actor did exist, their income would still fluctuate quite a bit from year to year. One reason for the income fluctuation, like we said before, is because acting work is gig work, and we can never really predict how many gigs we're going to get in a given year. Another reason why acting income fluctuates is because there are many different ways actors make money in this industry. So let's break down 5 of the most common ways actors earn their income. Movies and episodic series. This is probably the most obvious way actors make money. But remember, the term movies encompasses a wide range of productions, from big budget blockbusters to micro budget independent films. Similarly, a series can mean a popular series on a major network, and it can also mean a small web series on YouTube. Now, for productions that do have a budget to pay the cast, actors are sometimes paid a flat fee for the project. Other times they're paid by the week or by the day. Okay, remember earlier we explained what residual payments are. If a movie or series produced in the US is created under a SAG-AFTRA contract, then the actors could make a lot more money in residuals on the back end. Residuals are a form of revenue sharing. So if a movie continues to make money through DVD sales or video on demand rentals, the actors in that movie would receive additional payments in the form of residuals. Theater. Actors also make money acting on stage, but just like movies and episodic series, a play can be a major Broadway show or it can be a tiny community theater production. Obviously, the pay scale is going to be different for each. Assuming a production has a budget to pay the cast, theater actors are generally paid weekly. Now, unlike movies and shows, theater productions do not have residuals. That's because plays are live performances and there's no continued use of the production. Commercials. Commercials are an often overlooked area of the industry where actors can earn an income. Newer actors especially tend to disregard commercials when setting goals for their careers. In my opinion, that is a huge mistake because there is a lot of money to be made in commercial work. For one, you rarely ever see commercials that don't have a budget to pay actors. Commercials are made by corporations that have an advertising budget. Now, since most commercial shoots are relatively short, the actors are typically paid by the day. But the payments don't stop there. The real money is in the usage fees. Non-union commercials usually include a buyout, which is a lump sum payment for the rights to use the commercial for a given period of time. For example, a 2-year buyout for a commercial for $5,000. It's pretty normal. On the union side of things, the earning potential is even higher. National commercials under a SAG-AFTRA contract must pay usage fees for every time a commercial airs. Some commercials stay on the air for years, in which case the actors continue to make money. I have friends that have made over 6 figures in usage fees from a single commercial. Pretty crazy, right? Remember when I said earlier that sometimes we won't know how much a gig is going to pay until years later? Well, this is why. We have no idea how much a commercial is going to be used when we're filming it. If we get lucky, they'll use it a lot and we'll end up earning a lot later on. Voiceover. Another way actors make money is in voiceover work. This includes everything from audiobook narration to characters in cartoons and video games to voicing advertisements on TV. Now, some voice actors are strictly voice actors, meaning they don't ever want to appear on camera or on stage. They prefer to only act with their voice. And there can be a great career in that. But there are plenty of other actors who do both physical acting and voice acting. Depending on the production, voice actors are either paid a session fee or paid by the hour. Voice acting jobs, similar to other types of acting work, can also be union or non-union. Some union voice jobs also pay usage fees or residuals depending on the medium and the specific contract. Industrial videos. Now, if commercials are sometimes overlooked as a way that actors make money, then industrial videos are definitely overlooked because most people don't even know what they are. I certainly didn't when I first started acting. Industrial videos are a type of video that targets industry audiences rather than the general public. The most recognizable type of industrial video is a corporate training video. If you've ever worked at any corporation, you've likely seen one of these videos before, especially on your first day at a new job. Actors are hired to do these types of productions all the time. They're typically non-union, pay by the day, and don't include any usage fees or residuals. Okay, all that background info is well and good, but I know you want to see some real numbers, so let me share some actual examples from my own acting career. In my first 6 years of acting, my average annual income from acting work was about $6,000 per year. My highest paid gig in those 6 years was $3,000, and my lowest paid gig was $100. And that's obviously not including the gigs that I did for free, which there were a lot of in the beginning. So $6,000 per year. That may not sound like a lot, but believe it or not, that's actually pretty good for an actor just starting out. It's not easy making any money as a beginner in this industry, so $6,000 per year for 6 years is not a bad start. I'm sharing this because I want to emphasize the fact that it is very rare. In fact, it almost never happens where a beginner actor immediately starts making a livable wage from their acting income. Even in year 6, I considered myself a beginner actor. Now, some might ask, well, why wasn't it going up at all? Well, that has to do with the factors that we talked about earlier. For starters, it's gig work, so our income doesn't steadily increase the way that someone with an annual salary might. I was also living in a small market in Cleveland, Ohio, which primarily had lower budget non-union acting opportunities. Remember, non-union jobs have no residuals. Plus, I started out without an agent just like everybody else, so I was getting very low paying jobs on my own. And even when eventually I did get an agent, I was still very inexperienced, so I wasn't booking the higher paying gigs yet. Okay, let's fast forward to more recent years. I want to tell you about my highest earning year as an actor, but not just that year, the years leading up to it as well, because it really highlights the unpredictable nature of acting income. My highest earning year was 2 years ago when my annual acting income totaled $106,000. That's a nice chunk of change, right? We're gonna dig deeper into that number in a second, but let's stay with the big picture for now, because I don't want you to just look at the income from that highest earning year. I want you to look at the 3 previous years too. So 2 years ago, in my highest earning year, my total acting income was $106,000. The year before that, my total acting income was $24,000. The year before that, it was $67,000. And the year before that, it was $33,000. You see how volatile acting income can be? One year, my income goes up by more than $30,000. The next year, it drops by more than $40,000. And the next year, it shoots up by $80,000. That is quite the roller coaster, isn't it? So when people ask me, Kurt, how much money do actors make? I don't know how to answer that question because I can't even tell you how much I make. It's all over the place. But I promised earlier that we would dig deeper into the $106,000 number. What happened that year? Why did I earn so much more that year than any other year in my career? Well, that is when my first Union National commercial started airing. A few months prior, I had shot a commercial for an Epson receipt scanner, but I didn't really know what was going to happen with it. I knew it was a national commercial, and since it was a union project, I knew it had the potential to make a lot of money, but it all depended on how much they actually used it. Well, once it started airing on TV, the usage checks just kept coming in the mail. I teased at the beginning of the video that I would share my highest paying acting job I ever had. Well, this is it. It's not a Marvel movie or a Disney show or a Netflix project. It's a commercial for a receipt scanner. And I didn't work months or even weeks on this commercial. I worked one day. But from 2021 until now, they've been running that commercial, and the usage fees they've paid me has added up to nearly $70,000. And as far as I know, they might continue to run it through next year. So that commercial has the potential to become a 6-figure job. Do you believe me now that commercials, especially Union National commercials, can be very lucrative for actors? But there's definitely a lot of luck involved too, because we have no control over how much they're actually going to use it. Some of you may remember that I did a Super Bowl commercial for Michelob a couple years ago. That one was also a Union National commercial, but it only aired during the Super Bowl and it wasn't used after that at all. So my earnings from that commercial way lower than the other one. Still, pretty cool to be in a Super Bowl commercial though, right? But cool doesn't always equal more money. Overall, my annual acting income has been a bumpy ride year over year, which is very common. The WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes this year made things even more interesting for my 2023 earnings. What's going to happen in 2024? Who knows? I mean, I know I'm going to get auditions and I expect to book some of them, but how many of each is anyone's guess at this point. I certainly don't have any gigs lined up already for next year, so we'll just have to see what happens. It's very unpredictable, but this is why I recommend all actors have a separate income stream outside of their acting career to balance out that unpredictability. It doesn't make you any less of an actor to make money outside of acting. It just makes you a smarter actor. All the big stars do it too, because they know their careers are also unpredictable. They own restaurants and clothing brands and tons of other stuff. So if you want to know some good side hustles for actors, I actually did a video where I interviewed 10 working actors about their side hustles, and it's a pretty cool mix of different types of jobs in different industries. Check out that video right here. Okay, that's it for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and I cannot wait to see you on set one day.